Hello, and welcome to the Shelly Show. I'm Shailendra, and you're watching this simulcast live on LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all the social media platforms. I hope you're safe and observing the protocols in your area so we keep each other healthy, safe, and secure. Just so you guys know, in Sydney here, we're under lockdown up until 30th of July. So we're under lockdown. That's what it is. For you to view this episode and other sessions that I run on emerging technologies live, I would request you to follow me so that you can be alerted when a live session is on. This gives you an opportunity to ask questions directly to our audience, to our guests. So please press the follow button if you're watching it on LinkedIn and Twitter. If you're watching this on YouTube, please press the subscribe button and the bell icon. And if you're watching this on Facebook, then you can do two things. You can actually share this group with other Facebook groups where people are interested in watching about emerging technologies, LinkedIn, jobs on LinkedIn, and so forth. And so people can learn from our guests today. Let's start about LinkedIn. So with more than 740 million active users in 2020, LinkedIn has expanded from nowhere to one of the most wanted professional social media platform. But what people also think is that it is trying to get you a new job. But can LinkedIn get you your dream job? And if yes, what's the approach? How do you go about it? And that's what we want to find out. So what I've done is I've started this series, which actually talks about how to find your dream job using LinkedIn. And I'm trying to get international experts to come in and share their point of view who do this for a living. So first of all, please tell us where you're watching us from. So whatever country, city you are in, please put that in the comment section. And also share your stories. If you've got any story about finding a job on LinkedIn, put that in the comment section. And I'll tell you a reason for that. Because today we are giving a giveaway. And the giveaway is, if you post a comment today in the comment section, no matter what social media platform you're on, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, if you post a comment in the comment section, you qualify to win a free LinkedIn audit by our guests. So please ask questions, comment. As many comments you put in, you qualify to participate in the giveaway. There are two giveaways to give away. So two LinkedIn audits to give away. So you put a comment in there and you qualify. Okay, very quickly about our guests, and I'll stop blabbering anymore. Well, let's start. Bringing in 18 years of recruiting and staffing experience, Melanie is our first guest. She started her career and life coaching organization, is her own setup, in 2017 to help people find meaningful and fulfilling work. Her success as a recruiter was driven by her ability to get her candidates hired. It is this innate knowledge of the market that she brings to her clients as they navigate to do the job search and become successful in that. Melanie helps her clients with everything from resumes, job searches, interviews, LinkedIn strategies, and building the successful professional brand. She thrives on helping her clients better understand themselves, find their passion, achieve their goals, and succeed in their careers. Okay, so let's bring in Melanie without any further ado. But you remember to start commenting. Tell us where you're coming from. Any comment you put in, you qualify to win a LinkedIn audit by Melanie as well. So let's bring in Melanie. Hi, Melanie. Welcome to the Shelly Show. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Melanie, tell us about yourself and one fun fact about yourself.
So, as you mentioned, I was a recruiter for over 18 years, and I went on my own career journey in 2017. I was trying to figure out what did I want to do because I knew I was transitioning from recruiting. And so I put myself out there in the market and ultimately did end up working in corporate recruiting, but I also was coaching part-time, and then I went full-time in 2018, and I've been doing career coaching ever since. And so a fun fact about me, well, I don't know how fun it is, but so I'm in the Washington, D.C. area now, but I've been born and raised in Missouri in the middle of the United States. And so I've almost been here in about almost the same amount of time. So I was born and raised there, but I've been now in the DC, Maryland area for over 21 years. So I don't know how much fun that is, but
Okay, so let's bring in our next guest. But before I do that, guys, if you comment in the comment section, you qualify to win a LinkedIn audit by Melanie. And our second guest is Ilya. As a LinkedIn trainer, Ilya has coached dozens of professionals, students, and business owners on how to build powerful personal brands and social selling strategies to leverage the power of LinkedIn for job seeking and lead generation. She focuses on LinkedIn optimization and social selling for professionals and entrepreneurs. And she's a public speaker for institutions and private organizations in Canada. So we've got Melanie from Washington in the US, and we've got Ilya coming all the way from Canada. She's fluent in Spanish and English, so we will try to get some Spanish out of her as well today. So without any further ado, let me bring in Ilya Francis. Hi, Ilya.
Hello, how are you?
Very good.
Hi,
How are
how are
you?
you guys? How's it going?
Very good. How are you?
Good. Hello, Melanie, my friend,
hello.
my clubhouser, my fellow clubhouser.
We're often on Clubhouse together, so
Yes.
you can also
Good stuff,
find us
good
there.
stuff. Ilya, tell us about yourself and also one fun fact about you.
Well, one of my fun facts, I am Venezuelan, moved to Canada 11 years ago, and I started making, my living here. I met my husband, 12 years ago when I came to Canada to study English. Then, the relationship grew up in the distance, and I came back, and I haven't moved ever since. So that's a quick fun story, but also I had the opportunity to, because of my work with immigrant women, as I am one, and seeing, job market gaps of immigrant and mental block, cultural, even language barriers that I overcome, I had the opportunity to overcome, to build my network here because I had zero people, zero connections, and having the opportunity to go from oil and gas in Venezuela to manufacturing and then tech within the same area of expertise, because I am an industrial engineer with 20 years of experience in the health and safety area. So I'm a senior health and safety advisor. But also, after, having kids and all stuff, I said, well, there should be something else that I should be doing. And, so I said, I want to help people. I want to serve, but how do I do that is, was my big idea. And I said, well, I'm going to help those who are like me, who are moms that are highly qualified, but they are at home because they might feel that mental block that I can't express myself in another language. So because that happened, I started, organizing and leading workshops in the local Greater Toronto area, and we got the attention of a journalist. And I was featured on CBC News back in 2018. So that is one fun fact about me, that I've been featured in media even without looking for it, because we were basically organizing something meaningful to us. The same type of women in the workforce that really felt like they don't have maybe a voice or a representation, and we wanted to give empowerment, hope, and especially skills like the path on how to do it. And we I have a business partner who is Adriana Romero, another leader in the sales enablement area for tech companies. And, I feel super proud of also being here as a LinkedIn coach too.
Good stuff. Good stuff. So very generously, both of you have offered to for this giveaway, which is if anyone comments in the comment section with their stories, anything they comment in the comment section, we will put them in a draw where they can win a free LinkedIn audit by one of the two of you. So, guys, whoever is watching this, please put a comment in the comment section and you will qualify. You will get into that draw. Okay, very quickly. I'll put that on there so people can watch it. Let's start from the basics, girls. So I want to do a job search. What do I do? Where to get started? Where do I start from? Who wants to go? Melanie first.
So I think the first thing you have to do is you have to know what you're looking for. Mm-hmm. Oftentimes people will be going through transitions and maybe saying, I want to do something different. I don't know. And then they start to aimlessly look for opportunities, but they're not really sure what they're they're not really committed to something. And so I think you have to do some work on the back end before you just jump into a job search, because then you're going to end up repeating some of the same mistakes. Maybe the reasons you're trying to leave your organization is because you're of pay or money, pay or, benefits, position, title. And so I think you have to do your research on the front end before you just jump in. That would be the very first thing I would recommend to anybody, is really get solid on what you're looking for, the type of position and the role, and even the type of company you want to work for.
Mm-hmm. What do you think, Ilya?
Look, you gotta be clear. When you're crystal clear what path you want to take, especially where you are right now, and what is the position that you are aspiring. Is it the same one? Is it a new level or two more levels that you want to get there? Then you need to identify what are the gaps that are either in my resume, either in my skills or education. The more you understand, where you are, but being very, very honest with yourself, because you might consider you have everything it takes, that I'm willing to do it. I just need to get out there and get exposure. You need to be honest. Do you need a certification do you have, the years of experience that certain positions require? Because that's something that we cannot avoid unless you are a unicorn, that you are really a very talented and a smart person. But with that, then you need to add, something additional. But especially right now, to start, you need to know where you're at, where you're going, what are your gaps, and then find out whether you need to invest in either a coach, either a staffing agency that can place you, and which one, in which industry, because it is not any staffing agency. There are agencies that are very specific to, for example, the IT industry, the software industry, the tech industry. And we all want to find that dream job for Google or for Amazon. But do they have the positions that, that are very much a fit to us in terms of lifestyle, in terms of benefits, etc., or the company culture? Because we do not really know unless there's someone in those companies that can talk to us about it. What do you think, Melanie? I believe that that's being honest to yourself is clear.
You do have to be very clear on what you're looking for and what you want, because otherwise, I think that's also why people get so frustrated with their job searches, is because they're not clear of what direction they're headed in. And so it's like, a GPS on a car, or, not having a map, and you just get put in the middle of a country and told to go, hey, go find your destination. And it's like, well, where am I going? You got to know where you're going to know what direction to go in. So you have to be very clear on what is important to you and what you're looking for, because otherwise you're just going to end up hitting a lot of the same roadblocks that you may already be hitting with your current position.
Exactly. Good stuff. So, okay, fine. Let's take it to the next level. Now I've decided where I want to go. I've decided, I found out the direction. As you said, I found out the destination. and being honest to myself, how do you think I become, as an individual, become more visible on LinkedIn? What do I do to be out there? I'll start with Ilya this time, Melanie,
Okay.
and then I'll
Sure.
come back to you.
Okay, so now, okay, you're crystal clear. I know. I want to be president of the division of, Asia, APAC for Amazon, for example.
Yep.
Do I have obviously the years of experience? Do I have the background that supports my pitch? Then you really understand that. On LinkedIn, you have a marketing tool. You are selling yourself.
Yep.
That's it. Your LinkedIn profile is your best. Yourself. They will never sleep. They will always be ready to contact, to build a relationship with a key connection. And if you don't have that key connection, then okay, you do your work and find it. But first of all, is your LinkedIn optimized for that type of job that you are really looking for? And with, we can start doing the audit right here live,
Yeah.
but especially what we need to do in a summary when somebody lands on your profile is it speaking in like clearly to that recruiter or the hiring manager who might be looking for a leader, as a president for Amazon in the APAC region. Does that reflect it? Are you doing a self-serving job of just talking about me, and not about the real value that you will bring to any organization that decides to work with you? What do you think, Melanie?
I agree. That was the first thing I was going to say is like, you've got to get your profile. First off, you understand you are your brand. Like Ilya was saying that and a lot of job seekers have a hard time understanding this because they think of a brand like, Coca-Cola or Amazon or Google, but they think like, I'm not a brand. You are your personal brand. So how you show up in particular, as we're talking about tonight on LinkedIn, is they're looking at everything. So it's really getting, your headline in order should be directed towards the positions that you are looking for. You should utilize your about section. And that's an underused section that people do not take full advantage of. You can use first person. You can show your personality. It does not have to read. LinkedIn profiles are a little bit like a resume, but yet they're a little bit they've got this unique quality where you get to show your personality off. So yes, it shows your work experience, but it also, I want to get to know you. And as Ilya was saying, I want to get to know what you can offer to this organization, and the type, and not just all about just all about you, but what are you going to do? Like, how are you a presence? And so that's where you're going to make, and really going through the entire profile. I think a lot of people think, oh, I'll just do the work experience, but they forget like recommendations. You should always be actively seeking recommendations from people. Former coworkers, and they don't have to be bosses. They could be coworkers. They could be clients that worked with you. Obviously former managers or bosses are great, but it can be an array because it shows the type of person you are. It shows the type of team member you are. So if you talk about being a team member, have some references that are recommendations that talk about you being a great team member and how you were a team member. So it's that social proof. It really backs up what you're saying about yourself. So 100% start with your profile.
Totally. And considering that, when someone lands in your profile, the first thing that attracts the view is your headshot, your banner. If it's, that's prime real estate. If people get attracted or there's something enticing in your profile, then they will stay a little longer and they will read the headline. Maybe the headline has keywords, or maybe it has something as simple as I can teach, your mom on how to be health and safety, for example. something so tricky and really attractive that sparks the curiosity, but also having that extra, the summary or the about section should expand into, for those who might not understand what an IT expert, what a data scientist is, should explain exactly what you do, who you help, how you do it, or how you can help any organization. What is your real, I don't want to use the word value because it's so overused, but the word is, what it is, that special sauce that you have that nobody else has, or that you do it better than anybody else, and that is worth hiring you. That is when people fall short, because they consider that, oh, well, I'm going to paste, for example, the objective in my resume, which is so obsolete. You gotta, brag about yourself in a good way. You need to highlight in an about section, what is it, what is it meaningful about you that you want to get in front of that potential hiring manager, the recruiter, or any staffing agency to know about you, that, can be the factor of, okay, I want to hire him.
Yeah. As a former recruiter, I can tell you, I don't want to read, I can read your resume. So if I'm going to read your resume, I want your LinkedIn profile to read something entirely different. Now, your work experience should obviously match up. That should be the same. But your about section, I don't want the copy and paste, because I could already read your resume. So I need to know something more. I need to know something additional, like what makes you stand out, what makes you unique. If we're in a land of IT, like cybersecurity experts, what makes you the best? Why should I hire you? And so that's really what I want to get to know. And as Ilya mentioned, the banner, I know a lot of people don't put attention to it, but that blue-gray banner is like the banner of death. It's so boring. Like, there could be no more boring. Of all the color combos that they chose, it's like the most boring color combo. So pick something, you may be currently employed, so you maybe don't want to use it and say, hey, I'm looking for a job, but pick something that's related to your industry, that shows something unique. It makes me it's like the cover of your book. When we look at books, like, we always look at like, oh, that's a great cover. I wonder what that book's about. So it makes you want to read more. So yeah, definitely take advantage of your banner photo.
Good stuff. Okay, guys, before I get to the next question, I must tell the audience, whoever is watching this, guys, we've got a giveaway. If you comment in the comment section, you get into a draw to win a free LinkedIn audit by our guests. So Ilya and Melanie are going to actually audit one of the two, well, many of the two who actually get into the draw. So please write anything in the comment section and you qualify. Okay, my next question. And also, sorry, if you've got a question for Melanie and Ilya, please put that in the comment section. I will take those questions as well. How do I become a hot candidate to hire Melanie? How does that work? So I'm looking for a job, and I want that every hiring manager should be looking into my LinkedIn profile. What do I do?
So there's a couple of things that you can do. You can start with networking. So I always say you should have a top 10. I always give an assignment to my clients that I give them I ask them to find the top 10 companies they want to work for. I don't care if they have a position open that you can see right now, because that's a whole other like, we can worry about that later. But you need to know, again, where do I want to work? What's my ideal company? And then from that, start doing some research on the types of executives that you should be following within that organization, so you can start staying on top of the news. From there, you can start connecting with recruiters, but again, pay attention to their profiles, read their profiles, because a lot of recruiters will put in their about sections what they specifically do. Because as Ilya mentioned, not all recruiters are the same. So some, like, for example, Amazon is such a, obviously a global organization. So there's certain recruiters that handle the APAC area. They handle the, different, IT, they handle marketing. So they handle very specific things. So look for those and develop a list and keep like a spreadsheet of those individuals. And then you should start following them. And you also should start reaching out to them and introducing yourself and asking what I call is an informational interview. Find out what it took for that person to get hired. Find out what it takes to get hired. We'll just use Amazon as an example. What it takes to get hired, so you can gain insight into the organization, what it's like to work there, what do they look for in candidates. Ask for those individuals' time. That's the thing. And, when you send a connection request, always include a note. But, make it a question that you can continue to have a conversation. Don't just send a connection request, because likely that person won't accept it if there's not a note with it. And so you need to give them some direction of what you're looking for, and you would appreciate their insight into finding out more about the organization. That's one of the first steps in terms of going outside and just applying for jobs. Obviously, we can still do that. We still do it around the world. But I feel like nowadays we have to do more than just apply online and hope for the best. You've got to take that to the next step. You got to introduce yourself to people.
Okay. Ilya, what do you think?
Oh, absolutely. I am, 100% with Melanie. And one tip that complement what Melanie says. Melanie told us to make a list of 10 companies you want to work for. Whatever the companies are, go to the LinkedIn company pages of those companies. Go there. But then once you are there, go to the section people. Who are the people who really are a part of that organization? Because there are two tabs in which that tells you that, for example, Melanie works for this company when, for example, Melanie works for YouTube because she added within her experience section that she's an instructor for, she adds all her material about career coaching to YouTube. So she is pulling YouTube, but she really is not an employee. And then you have the tab that is really validated within that company page about, people. Who are the people who really work there? Take a look who they are. Take a look at who are, the human resources, the operation VPs, the managers, those sections, those departments that are really of your interest. And start following the people. Check their activities in their profile. Sometimes their activities is, very, quite, void, empty, because they are not active on the platform. So tend to look for those who really are putting content out there on a weekly and a monthly basis, and start liking those posts. Yep. And start, getting the attention of them, even if you haven't connected yet. So it's because there is where you can start finding jobs that these key people are resharing from, for example, the HR department, the CEOs of the companies, the CFOs, the VPs of the department that you want, the organization. Is it IT? Is it human resources? Is it operations? Is it product management? Is it manufacturing? Is it supply chain? Find the people, and yes, stalk them. Check their profiles. Are they, are they public? Are they active? Are they, simply a gray face? Maybe, we don't know. But you got to do your work. Once you get your work, from that list of companies, take a look at what are the people, write their names, the positions, and make sure that you, on a weekly, on a daily basis, you check whether they have an activity. whether they have positions open for that, so that you are the first one, checking them out, seeing that they're sharing there is a current position, and for the U.S. area, for Maryland, for Oregon, for India, for certain areas from Pakistan, from Australia, from Sydney. You got to be on top. That's the only way. But once you are there, don't wait until the job comes up. Yeah. If the job hasn't come up, it may eventually, come up. We don't know. So it's your job to build the relationship. And what is the relationship? Find, where those people are active. What are they doing? Are they content creators and they share articles on Medium? Well, go and comment on Medium. Try to find anyway. Twitter. That's one of the main ways for public relations. For companies to share their information, go and stalk them and start, adding comments. When not something meaningful, not hire me, because recruiters don't go hire, very often those people who are very desperate. So it's a game. Isn't a game, Melanie, about, is it the passive? I am working, but I am looking.
Yeah, it's definitely, I tell people, this will sound a little weird because we think of I have to apply. And I think, and what people forget is I could keep applying, and then they get frustrated, and then they're like, I've applied for 100 jobs. And then my question is but have you done this? Have you done this? I'd rather you apply for literally one job a day and then literally go and start commenting on 5 posts every single time, every day on LinkedIn. Start engaging with people, because that's also going to help draw people to your profile. And that hiring manager, the reality is we say all these things in our resume that, we're a go-getter. We're always constantly learning. And, we say all these things, but then what are you doing to show that?
Exactly.
And so when I put myself in the market back in 2017, of course I applied for jobs. I mean, I was doing, that is part of the process, but I would literally apply and I would spend time to see I would read the job description, find out who that position was reporting to. LinkedIn is sometimes great because it shows the person that posted the job. And so those are always great. But I literally sent 2 messages, one to the CFO, the chief financial officer, and one to the recruiter. And all I simply said was, I recently applied for the head of your recruiting department. I would welcome the opportunity to speak. That's all I said in a connection request. I didn't send a message. I literally sent that in a connection request. And I had an interview scheduled the next day, because what it did was it took me from being maybe 500, how many people had applied, and automatically they would then go and say, because as a recruiter, here's the deal. If you're a qualified candidate and I go to your profile and I see that, you're helping me. You're taking something off my plate. Exactly. And as a recruiter, I want that. So they literally checked, and I had and that's the job I had before I went to coaching full time. But because I reached out to them, I wasn't just another applicant in the stack of, resumes that this recruiter had to go through, who, by the way, wasn't even a real recruiter. She was our accounting person who happened to get stuck with the recruiting process. So she was overwhelmed to begin with.
Wow.
So it does work, but you have to make and so it wasn't like I applied for 100 jobs. I literally applied for a handful of jobs, but I did that every single time. And so I do encourage people to you have to think outside of the box and not be afraid of rejection, because really what's the worst that can happen? They're probably just not going to respond. That's the worst thing. I mean, and we can't control that, but we can control if we reached out to the person.
This is absolutely inspirational, and I have learned a few things today. Melanie, this is gold actually, and people who watching this, guys, this is gold. And that brings me to the next question. But before I go there, let me ask the audience, guys, whoever is watching this, please put a comment in the comments, your question in the comment section. I'll take the questions, and also that will also allow you to qualify for a free audit on your LinkedIn profile, which is very hard to find, to be honest. To get someone to do your LinkedIn audit is not that easy, and you've got two of those free audits available today. All you need to do is just say something in the comment section, and you qualify to get into the draw. Now that brings me to the question, Melanie, you mentioned just now, and it's very interesting. Now, I've seen a job on the post, well, LinkedIn job post. I've seen a job, and I want to apply. So, Melanie and Ilya, take turns to say, how do I approach? What I have seen is, and to be honest, if you apply to those jobs, do they even come back? Does anyone even look at those job postings, or is it just, well, is it just for the sake of posting because you have to post? What do you think? And how do you approach that?
Yeah, I mean, I do think that the thing about LinkedIn is that if they're posting jobs there, they're paying for that. So I would say that that is a legitimate, post, especially on LinkedIn in particular. There's some other sites, maybe not so much, just depending on how they are, but that is a paid post. So I would say that's definitely a real post in that. And then again, I would start with the research. I would start, and maybe you can't gain any information or find that person based on the job description. But if you've done the activities that Ilya and I have discussed in the beginning about having your spreadsheet, having the people that you're starting to connect with. So if I've been up to that point commenting on other, managers' posts within that organization, maybe now's the time I can reach back out to that person one-on-one and say, hello, thank you so much for supporting me. They'll recognize your name because you're constantly commenting on their posts. I recently saw this opening. Could you possibly make an introduction for me? Or who should I speak with regarding this opportunity? And now you have some sort of connection that allows that conversation to happen. Because also the thing too about commenting on people's posts, and Ilya can definitely speak to this as well, is that you're establishing yourself as a thought leader. You're establishing yourself as an subject matter expert. Again, if you're claiming that on your resume, we need to see it. And how you show it is by commenting on, what's happening in your industry, what's happening with these companies. If there's, cybersecurity attacks and that's your specialty, are you an expert in it? What is your take on it? Because everyone has a different opinion on how to handle things. So, that's where I would start.
Absolutely. And going the extra mile today is critical. It is not only, the background experience. You have in your profile something that is enticing. Do you have a good institution did you apply for? Have you worked for companies that are actually renowned within your industry? Yes, no. And that is not completely, a make or break, but it is what you put out there. Are you really a leader in the, for example, IT, in the manufacturing, in the construction section, in the water, in the environment sphere? Then what is your take? Are you curating information that is happening today, this week, into your feed? Are you really giving something about it? It is not copying and pasting the link that you saw from that article, but it is your perspective, what you are absorbed, and what you can show. Those people who are in your network that might be interested in talking to you about water treatment, about environment issues within the IT industry, for example, that have been very wild. And if it is in the IT or software as a service, where is the industry going? How you can help. What is your perspective as a leader that you can add extra? And being very simple. Posting on LinkedIn is conversational. You give an update. If it's an update that is coming from the tech industry, then bring your perspective as such. What could involve what your company's doing right now within those news. How is the company treating, the employees, for example, if it's, around the workforce, which is a hot topic on LinkedIn News, for example, nowadays. And Melanie, you have a great example about it, which is key. It's not just sharing content because if you are a project manager, for example, what would you do? What would you use as a tool? What tip you would give that shows your skills, for example? How do you manage time? How do you ensure that critical tasks are done? Like, what is the tip that you learn from the Primavera project? For example, the software that you use. What is that tip that helps cut time in 10-20%? That is when you show your real skill set that you mentioned and your skills and endorsements.
Yeah. And you really do. And people wonder how, like what kind of content, like I can't create content, like I have nothing to say. And I'm like, you have your own perspective and you have your own view. And that's what, again, makes you unique. And if I'm a hiring manager or a decision maker, I want to know what makes you unique and understand that, these hiring managers, these companies, they are looking at everything you do on social media, not just LinkedIn, but, and so if you think it's private or you think it's not, they have ways of finding it. So, be mindful. And this goes back to the first question, be mindful of your brand. What is your brand? What do you want to stand for? What is the message that you're sending out? And so as a job seeker, that is, I am an expert in this subject. And that doesn't matter if you're a college graduate or a C-level executive. You have your own point of view and you should be sharing it.
Exactly. And you have, for example, Shailendra, you are an author. What are the principles that you share within your book? Though that is content, that is juice that you can squeeze and add for weeks and weeks to come. So it is not only about what you've done, who you've met, what are the certificates that are under your belt. It is how you are bringing all this baggage and you are applying it, especially to get results and beyond, to lead the company to another level. That is when you show your ROI, for example.
Very interesting. And to be honest, I think I take your point on comments because, and most of the people just go say, oh, I love the comment, I love the post or something like that. I think that should be extended because just by saying I love what you've said or I like what you said doesn't make a difference as long as you've got your own perspective. And I come from consulting background, and my boss used to say, you will always have Shailendra, you will always have a perspective. And that's true. If you've worked in that particular space, you definitely have a perspective. So why don't you use that perspective to share with others on LinkedIn? And I think people are shy as well in doing that. And one of the results or functions of that is that people are not commenting at the moment just because they're shy, exposing themselves, saying, well, or if I comment, people will know that I'm looking to get my LinkedIn profile reviewed, which is really strange because I've got more than 50 people watching live now, and no one is commenting, which it's got a pin drop comment.
Maybe they're taking notes.
Who knows what's going on here? But to be honest, that's true, guys. If you've got a comment, please put that in the comment section. You definitely have a perspective of what is going on. But please, if you do that, you qualify for a LinkedIn audit, your profile audit by these two ladies. So let's get to the next question. And you're absolutely right, Melanie, that, people need to comment with their perspective, and everyone has a perspective. It's just
Yeah.
people are scared, or people are shy of putting their perspective on the on someone else's profile. But I've seen that change. But please, my personal view and experience is, just don't say I love your post, I like your post. Don't say that, because that's only telling people what, not much, right?
The thing to remember is, especially if you're talking to, say, somebody that works, within Google or something like that, like you comment on somebody's post. If you give an insightful comment, it allows you to have a back and forth conversation where now it's not just the post itself, but now we're getting into like really having a conversation. And like, maybe you disagree. That's okay. We can have conversations where we disagree, where it doesn't have to be, this bad thing. It's okay. We're not all going to agree on how to do something. And so that's the thing that I think people, and I always tell people, if you're afraid to do something, that's a pretty good indication that you should be doing it. That means you're pushing yourself out of your comfort zone. And so you really, if you're afraid to do it, and again, what's the worst thing that can happen? I mean,
they might say no. For example,
right.
It's not open. There's no position right now for you. But thank you. You got yourself out there.
Yeah.
You took the step that the majority on LinkedIn don't do.
Yeah.
And it is, I understand when I started posting on LinkedIn, I said like, well, I have no idea what to post. But I see that this is a platform that is very rigid and professional and it's stiff. And the more I posted and the more I commented on other people's posts, I realized that I had a voice that matters. The voice, because you read the post and then you absorb the message that post has. And then you become your inner dialogue, which is that perfect response that you can be putting out there in comments, rather than you said, okay, thank you for sharing. But thank you for sharing. Why? Was it meaningful? Did it resonate with you? It reminded you about a past work experience, a moment within your job, or I really disagree with this idea. And it's not I disagree with the person. I disagree with the message that you are sharing, and that takes away the personal context. So you are not arguing with the person. You are talking out. You are disagreeing and giving you a different perspective about the concept or the message. So thoughtful disagreement sometimes take you to a great relationship. Great discussion and conversations in DMs. And that is where people fall short, because they say, thank you for sharing. If you don't know what to ask, what to say, because it really, sometimes you say, like, I want to say something, but I don't know. Ask a question.
Yeah.
To expand into the conversation. And then people will be, first of all, the author will feel flattered because there's someone interested in learning more about, what the person shared. And then it becomes, more dynamic and relaxed.
Very, very interesting. And actually, what you've actually nailed it, because the moment I post something and if someone asks a question, at least I know one thing, that he's read that particular post. Yeah. That's the first thing, because most of the people, and I've seen that so many times, I've posted audios, videos, and all kind of formats, and I don't see people writing anything, which means that they've not read it. And I'll tell you one more thing which I've learned over the last few years is, when I do a post of a picture, there is much view as compared to when I put text, which means that people just look at the picture and they're like happy and they don't want to comment anyways. And if you write some text, then it's too hard for them to read and then reply. And I think when they say like it, or when they say, oh, I love your perspective, why? It's a perfect opportunity to engage with not only that individual, but the rest of the world to showcase what you're thinking about.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you don't know who's, because they may be a manager in the company you're interested in, which means probably their boss, who might be the hiring manager, is going to probably be looking at them, or coworker. So LinkedIn, it's an amazing little, it's this, social media is obviously this amazing platform where, it connects people from all around the world, but you just truly don't know there. But on LinkedIn in particular, there's something there for everybody. I mean, every industry under the sun, there's a space for you. And that's the thing that people just have to start going a little bit deeper than, oh, I have a profile, but I don't do anything with it.
Exactly. And that is, oh my goodness, it's what is critical. You want to be visible, but you don't want to participate into the conversation. It's like if you go to an exhibition, a conference, a huge conference center, and you have multiple booths, back and forth around you. Booths are, those posts that you see in your feed. So you decide whether you stop in one and say something, ask a question, are you really interested in the topic, or you really know about this product or that particular topic they are talking, and you want to add into the conversation, you want to contribute and not being a lurker. But when you create the content, then it becomes there's one perspective that everyone should get across, that the content is not about you. When the content is about you, you are bragging about your accomplishment, and that's okay, but should not be the 80% of the conversation. It should be about the expertise, the industry, the topic, the relevancy, the news, in ways that the person who reads it, one, understands it immediately, even without thinking. The person is reading and immediately is absorbing your message. And second, there's an action that ideal person who is related to your industry can learn from right away. That's when content becomes engaging. That's when people start saying, whoa, they have aha moments, and that can be emotional posts, that can be transformational posts, that can be educational posts. You can have a combination of everything. And when people view, when your content appears in someone's feed and people read it but people do not react, it's either you have the wrong people in your network, or that you are being confusing, or that you really are not giving them anything. You're giving them certain substance, but what is the substance about? For them or for you?
Very interesting. Now, that's great. Let me ask you another question. How do you advise a job seeker to approach a potential hiring manager? Now, first of all, how to figure out a hiring manager, and then once you found them, how do you approach them? Do you may be connected to them, or you may not be connected to them. There could be one of the two options. So how do you approach this? Ella, do you want to go first?
Oh yes, but Aditya shared a question on LinkedIn, because he said, "Okay, I'm gonna share." He went really, like, I would love to acknowledge Aditya on LinkedIn. Thank you. I don't know if you can pull the question, and we can also start engaging with him, because if there are eyes on LinkedIn, then there might be someone that for sure there might be a question out there. So don't feel don't feel shy. Just share with us in the comments. We don't bite, and we're Melanie is on Clubhouse. I don't know whether the audience know about Clubhouse. Shailendra, I don't know whether you're on Clubhouse, but we are very we have rooms. We have our house in there under the Thought Leadership Branding. And Melanie runs and leads with Bill McLean the LinkedIn 101, how to become a LinkedIn rock star. I also run the LinkedIn Cafe on Tuesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is quite late for you guys. But for Melanie has a great timing for people here.
Yeah, we have ours.
Yeah.
We had ours. So we have ours every Thursday at 7 p.m. So had ours this evening, and it really is for my co-moderator and I. We joke that we're in the process of. I mean, I'm still becoming a LinkedIn rock star. I'm still trying. So everything I talk about are things that I'm doing or I'm learning or I'm trying to impart. So we share successes and challenges and. Had a great room this evening. A lot of people came in, but I always say, and I said this to my audience this evening, was if you have a question, I guarantee you somebody else has the same question. So don't be afraid.
So if you've got a question, put that in the comment section and we will take that very, very soon. We've got another 5 minutes and then we will just jump into the Q&A. And so guys, if you've got a question, put that in the comment section. I will take that question. Okay. Can we do this? Can we take a LinkedIn profile and do a live review? Any one of you agree?
Sure.
I'm sure. That's cool.
Who do we pick?
Maybe Aditya that is in the comments.
Yeah. We can do that. So let's do something. Let's take the questions first and then bring in Aditya's. I don't know whether Aditya would want to do that. But if you do, Aditya, we can have a look at your profile. Good stuff. That's interesting. Okay. Let me get to the questions first very, very quickly.
And you know what, Melanie, now that you're picking up the profile, it's what is interesting that people really want to get into, become a content creator and don't know how to start. So whenever you are looking for sharing your thoughts, don't just start shooting arrows, in the air. Just be known for one thing. What's your expertise? What are you, what you really good at? And introduce yourself. If you've never shared anything before, you can either with a post that is text, or if you want to go, that extra mile and show yourself on video, introduce yourself on video because people will get to relate how you talk, how, what your gestures are, and the real intention of putting yourself up there as a content creator. I am Ilya Francis. I am an engineer with 20 plus years of experience in the oil and gas section, in the health and safety areas, in quality assurance. And I've helped, 5 companies already to keep, achieve and maintain, the ISO 9001 certification. And I'll start sharing content here that is useful to you if you are in the quality assurance area. And I hope to see you in comments. With that, you are already breaking the ice. Sometimes we don't know how to break the ice with strangers that are in our neighborhood, or they're, our friends or colleagues, classmates, from years and years ago. But it is a start. Yeah.
Good stuff. Okay, let's go to Q&A first and then quickly get to Aditya's. So Aditya's agreed to share his LinkedIn profile to be audited. So good stuff. Let's get to the questions first, and Aditya has a question, so let me go there. Give me a second, please. Okay, let's start with the first comment, and the comment is from Suraj Boyar, and he says, much appreciated session for job aspirants. Absolutely. Thank you, Suraj, for your comment. And let's get to the next comment. Well, Aditya's put in 3 comments. So the second one is, nowadays, JD asks a lot of the things from the whole left to right, and according to me, people from tech industry, we know how soon things change. Cannot have all those arrows in their arsenal. So then, how to apply for those jobs?
So I think that's a great question because often people say, well, I don't have certain skill sets that they're asking for. So if you have, I would go through and look at this job description and under the requirements. And if there are things that you don't necessarily have, think of other similar, similar skill sets that still apply or transferable skills. There's definitely in the tech industry, we have a lot of hiring managers and companies. Remember, job descriptions are wish lists. That's probably, they're not, and I understand, they're not, there's a little broken system when it comes in the recruiting aspect of things, that some hiring managers think they're going to get everything, and the reality is that's never going to happen. I mean, that's just not in an ideal world. So if you can relate to show that you have most of those skills, or if you don't have those skills, your transferable skills and how you can work to apply that. So that's where, don't be afraid. Now, if you're missing like a lot of the key skills, that's probably an indication then the job's not going to be a match. But if it's certain technologies, you can show that you've learned other harder technologies that you can adapt to that. So that's what I would suggest to do, and then point those out.
Good stuff. What do you think, Melanie? Oh, sorry, Ilya?
Oh, for that, what you need to show is the capability of either, if you don't have, when it is a mandatory requirement, you got to understand, know how to program in C++, for example, Python. Okay, those are, it's not that you say, well, I don't know this, but I can learn fast. No, it's that is not okay. But when you provide an information that, well, I've been in the SAP or SAP for so many years of experience, and I know, the back end of the process. So I also can understand the back end of software as a service for example, the supply chain industry that have been developing in the, as of now. You are saying that even though you do not have the experience handling certain information or certain software, you have other skill set that have allowed you to understand, how software works and how to absorb them, or get into a quick pace to get to speed with that.
Good stuff. Okay, so we've got no more questions. Let's get. Oh, well, no, sorry, Kaushik. There's another question that was quick. Let me ask Kaushik Gambuli, and he says, "How much do LinkedIn recommendations play a role in strengthening your profile and credentials for a recruiter?" Very pertinent question. I think no one ever asked it, and this is a great question, Kaushik. What do you think, Ilya?
Oh, absolutely. It's social proof.
It's a social proof.
It's another LinkedIn member giving credit that you are who you say you are, that you have the skill set that you have highlighted in your profile, and you have given certain results. They can say, certain qualifications about you. It can be from an HR department, from an HR coordinator, manager, VP, and say, like, Shailendra worked for this many years, and he is a thought leader. He was able to manage these many projects and teams with such ease, in handling multiple conflicts, keeping stakeholders up to date within the frames, achieving the corporate goals that were, they can give or anyone, that extra detail that you obviously cannot brag about. You might brag about it, but if there's somebody else saying that, yes, this is true, then it becomes a referral. It becomes a weight, the real weight that you want in your profile. What do you think, Melanie? I believe that
Yeah,
is
you
key.
recommendations are an absolute must. And if anything, also understand it's a trigger for the algorithm. So if you hit 3 or more recommendations, your profile automatically starts to come up higher in the search function. So if I'll just say IT recruiter. If I'm looking for an IT recruiter, you can imagine, oh my gosh, there's millions of them probably. It seems like it. But the people that don't have those recommendations are not going to, they're going to come below the people that have them. So understand and I don't always, that's the only algorithm thing that I usually get into with my clients, because I want them to understand what happens behind the scenes and how these things function and why they're important. But as Ilya said, they show social proof of what you're saying up above. So if you talk about yourself being a subject matter expert, then maybe, and you can ask those recommendations for, could you talk about this? You don't have to tell them what to say, but you can lead them in that direction. So if you want to be known for something, lead them in that direction. But
That's
yeah,
right.
definitely super important.
Absolutely. And for example, Kusik, he's asking about credentials for a recruiter. As a recruiter, you have clients.
Yeah.
You might have clients. So those clients who you successfully, created, found, the right talent for them, and they, you can go back at a later date and continue the conversation with them. How is the person? Is the person okay? Was the person up to the skill set that they were needed for the job? Yes, no, maybe. Or when you have that positive answer, then you can either do it informally on the phone, setting a Zoom call, or via email. And when it's via email, you can go from a humility standpoint. And this is a little formula that I have and that I've given to many people. And when you are writing an email, you can break the ice. Hello, I hope this email finds you well. I am working on my LinkedIn profile, and I am updating the information that I have. So since we work together successfully, I was I'm wondering whether you could write a recommendation about the performance, the results that I provided for your organization. And I am not going through a big text, but what I would love you to write 2 or 3 lines about your experience with me as a recruiter. That will mean the world to me, and that will help me be found by other organizations like you to help more people. When you take yourself out of the equation, and it is, what is the benefit of them writing your recommendation? People will say, yeah, absolutely. What, but they might say, I don't know what to say. What can I say? Then you can be prepared and have, those little lines that you would like people to write about you. If they say like, yeah, I can do it. How do I do it? And then you can send their recommendation link via the profile, but not before. That's etiquette. That's online etiquette for me. Doing something out cold without a previous introduction, it's invasive. It's like, okay, you're blatantly send me a recommendation request without getting into conversation, especially if we haven't talking that probably in 6 months, in 3 months, or in 3 years. You got to warm them up.
Yeah.
Ilya, you've actually rocked it. This is great information. And I think 95%, 99.9% of the people don't do this. They just simply press the recommendation button and say, give me a recommendation.
Yeah.
And they get something. No, this is brilliant. This is great insight. I'm so glad that I'm responsible for my audience to hear something like that from you. This is great. And I'm over the moon on that. Thank you very much. So very, very quickly, Kaushik, hopefully you've got your answer. Very quickly, if you want to have a look at Aditya's LinkedIn profile, he said, and there's the proof, he said, I would love to have a review. Let's do that. And let's quickly bring that up to screen. Share screen. And Aditya's. Okay, can you see the screen?
Yes, absolutely.
Yep.
Okay, so this is Aditya's LinkedIn profile. And so it says senior consultant at EY. There is the contact info, and this is what they see. Is that fine? Do you want me to go? Do you want to say something on this, or you want
You
me to
can
go?
start, Melanie, and then maybe one section you like it. It's okay.
Yeah, so I mean, great job having a banner photo first and foremost. It's just something that draws me into like, okay, let me fit. I'm gonna figure out a little bit more about what you do. I would also suggest for people in your contact info, make sure you have alternate ways to contact you. So a personal email address, because you may not necessarily, of course, we want you to be on LinkedIn, we want you to be active, but recruiters like to respond very quickly. So they like to have multiple ways to be able to reach you. So having your other email address, you have over 500 connections, which is great. That's another trigger that's important. And so those are, and it looks, I'd probably say, and I'll have Ilya maybe talk about this, is I would elaborate more on what is this senior consultant? Like what industry
Absolutely.
are we talking about?
Absolutely.
How can, I would elaborate, I would go further in depth with that, because senior consultant doesn't tell me what you do, doesn't tell me what problems you solve, and you've got a lot of space that you can do this in and do it effectively.
Absolutely. And if you don't mind, Shailendra, can you go back to the profile? It's kind of the personal information. It's there. I see Aditya Garg. There's nothing that tells me. Are you a scientist? It's the banner is telling me that you might be a very analytical person, or what. So you have real estate. You can show other ways to contact you. You can actually add your email address to the banner, or you can say senior consultant within the oil and gas industry, a senior consultant in the health care industry. You gotta give context right away. Remember that this is where people land. If they don't see any context, you might pass as a part of the herd. So add your social. Do you have Twitter? Do you use Twitter for professional purposes and create updates for your industry? You can add your Twitter handle there. You can show, what are the three things. What do you do? Who do you help, and how? What do? You are a senior consultant for the travel industry, and you help organizations, like you help EY, you help who you help within EY or within your industry, and how. And the how is your skill set, by creating, by handling $1 million budget for the sales team. So that is the extra context that people, recruiters, hiring managers, when they visit the profile, feel identified with or feel turned off. Like they see, like, well, there's nothing in here. Like this person is not describing himself enough for me to be interested in you. And one thing that I saw within the contact info was your URL. It's such a a small detail, but your URL is not customized. And you can go to the privacy settings, to your public profile, in your privacy settings, right in the little where, for example, Shailendra is, can show the word me. You can go to your profile, go to a public profile, and it says, custom your URL, your LinkedIn URL, by removing the gibberish, the numbers and the letters that adds up as a default on LinkedIn, and creating your own URL. You help people, one, to remember your profile. It can be Aditya Garg, or it can be Aditya Senior Consultant. That is so unique, and people will remember Aditya Senior Consultant, or the Senior Consultant Expert, for example. But then it comes the headline. What do you think, Melanie? Go for the headline, because headline, you have 220 characters right now.
I think you have to expand, especially on that headline. You have to be able to say the industry you're in, don't get caught on just that being your current title. Think about what recruiters are looking for, and think about the types of jobs you're applying for. That really should be your headline, within your headline, not just the title of where you're currently at or your last position. And then that can be in your work experience. This needs to tell me like who you are, how you help people, or how you help solve a problem. Be very specific, but start off with more of the position that you're looking for in that vein, because that's going to also help start coming up in searches that recruiters are doing. They're recruiting for skill sets, obviously, too, but this is also going to help them come up in terms of doing searches based on titles.
Correct. And Aditya, you're a senior consultant, healthcare industry. Check, what your ideal job position right now is. Is a data scientist? Just add, and you have that skill set: data scientist, IT, software development. Those are keywords that will help you boost your profile and appear in more searches. But when you don't give enough context or enough keywords for your for LinkedIn to work for you, is putting you at the very bottom, because you're not being clear. You're not being clear. The algorithm is like, I want to position this profile somewhere, but there's not enough information, and you go to the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay, so the about section is here.
Yeah, so with the about section, you've got so much space that you can elaborate here on. It's a little hard for me to read off the screen, but what I'm kind of seeing is I feel like this is coming more from a resume as opposed to something unique, where I'm not getting a sense of, it's a little kind of looks a little copy and pasted from maybe your resume. I would also include key competencies, key skills, technologies that you are, and I would highlight them in this section as well. I would give a call to action at the very end. So if you are looking to connect with people, say in a specific industry, a specific field, then give them a reason to connect with you, because that opens up a conversation. And I would elaborate this, and I would elaborate more again, what do you do? How do you help people or solve a problem? Who, the types, and what is the, it is overused, but what is the value? What makes you unique? Why should somebody want to hire or work with you? So that I would definitely, you've got so much more room to elaborate on here. And
absolutely. Absolutely. Look, the about section is the handshake with a recruiter, a potential recruiter. It's like, hey, how are you doing, Aditya? Tell me a little bit about you. What do you do? Are you going to start saying, I'm working as a lead provides? No, you don't work, you don't talk that way. Like the about section, it's you. So show your personality, tell your story. Where do you come from? Are you from India? And have you traveled 35 countries? Have you had the opportunity to be in front of a cobra, for example, being wild, and because of the cobra, you gain a perspective of, how short life can be, and you decided to go and lead, SAP analytics and study the cloud and finding ways to help, like, that extra interesting aspect of yourself when you meet a person that's you're about. So feel free to share your story, brag. What are the highlights of your career?
Mhm.
What are the
Yeah.
what is the extra that we don't know, and that it never is in your resume for sure?
Mhm. Okay, so then he's been liking our work, so he's committed, so that's good to see. And then he's got his experience, where it's not much detail as well.
Yeah, so I mean, you've got some really great companies. I'm familiar with EY. I mean, that's a great organization. You were a team lead for Accenture. So again, I think that you can use this as a unique opportunity, not just to put in the job description, but really, what did you do? Be able to share a few. I always say maybe one or two achievements. I personally tell my clients not to put everything in this section, and the reason is because people are viewing these on their phone. Maybe their laptop, or a tablet or whatever, and so sometimes if they have to click the see more too much, they're probably not going to do it. So they want to try to consume information, but I also want to quickly get a feel for what you did. And again, but I also want to kind of see it in your own unique way. And so maybe sharing a highlight or two is definitely going to be helpful. Sharing technologies in these sections, the technologies that you worked with, even if you have them up above, continue to reiterate these points, because then as a recruiter, I'm like, oh, he has SAP, or he has these, and I'm seeing this over and over. And again, this is a branding thing. We think about messaging and how we see commercials, and everyone knows, no matter where we are, what the golden arches stand for. So everyone knows that, and there's a reason, because it's been branded into our heads. So if I see these things over and over, then I get a feel for what you do.
Absolutely. And one thing is, sometimes recruiters know about these big companies. Sometimes they don't. They have no idea about, well, those are global companies, Ericsson, for example. But you can say Ericsson is the leader in the electronics for smartphones. Let's set an example. Give context. Then bring numbers, because everything is about how good you were in this particular job. What were the results that you gave to the organization? You worked for Ericsson as a solution integrator, for example. You can say, I not help, don't talk about help. I manage, I led to this team, or and it says working in Ericsson has been professionally awesome, and personally you work for several technologies. But tell me, what was the result? What did you deliver? You manage a portfolio of $1 million for 2019, for 2010 to 2013. What was the result for Ericsson? Of working with you, you led a team of 20 people across the APAC area, across Australia or India, and successfully delivered the project for example. So give numbers. I helped reduce the time, the consuming time when electronics were produced, for example. But you need to give the substance. When people see it in numbers, and I saw it somewhere in your experience, that gets drawn to the eyes of the recruiter. Oh, you're showing the results. You're giving me the results. Don't talk about your duties, because recruiters have the duties in the job description. Talk about their results that you provide consistently, and that's a hireable part of you.
Mm-hmm. And then he's got the education and the certifications.
That's fine.
That's good.
That's great. That's proof. Yeah, that's weight in your about for your profile.
And then he's got skills and endorsements.
Yeah, and that's definitely, it looks, that's a good place just to know that where that comes into play is when you're applying for jobs on LinkedIn, you may see things like you have 10 of the 12 skills or something. So it is good. You can have up to 50 skills. It is good to have, to try. I suggest using your higher level skills. I don't like to use just basic skills that everybody has, because that's not going to set you apart. I'm not big on endorsements just because anybody can endorse you, but it's good to have the skills.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And recommendations. So he's got only one recommendation. And what do you suggest?
Well, he starts reaching out to the companies that he worked for, but the company, the people. Do you have colleagues? Do you have the ability to go back and contact the HR, person, and ask them, or your former manager, former VP, so that the person within the formula that I mentioned before when we were talking about recommendations, there's something, there's an element on recommendation is also to give recommendations.
Yeah.
When you become given, like that, that you have a colleague who work with you within the team at Ericsson, at Accenture, that that person is worth recommending because of the talent, the work ethic, then people will come back and they will actually might do the same. They might not, but that means that you're being given, you're contributing on the platform. So you haven't given any. You can start by giving someone another recommendation to someone.
And they're likely to return the favor and give you one in return. So I'm big on giving and receiving. I believe that the more you give, then the more you're going to receive in return. So, and it also shows too the type of, it's always interesting to see what you give in terms of a review of somebody. So absolutely. That can also say a lot of things about you as an individual as well.
Absolutely. And especially one mistake that people get to do as to collect endorsement and recommendations is to give a recommendation to someone you have never met or worked with. Don't. Please don't.
Yeah.
Because it's simply cheating. Is asking for a fake recommendation. I will never accept a recommendation from someone that I have never, interacted, worked, or helped. I don't.
Good and stuff. It'll come back. It's really easy to figure out. Like I can go to that person's profile and go, okay, this person's never worked at a company you've worked at. Like that's what's the relationship, or where was the connection? And so it'll come back and haunt you when you do that. Absolutely. And then that destroys any social proof. That questions your integrity and goes down a rabbit hole that we don't want to go down.
And finally, the interest section. What does that do?
It just helps you, it shows who you're following. I mean, I don't think a lot of people probably pay too much attention to it, in my opinion, but It also shows the types of, are you staying on top of what's happening in your industry in particular? Again, what kind of companies are you following? That's going to be a big indicator. Are you staying on top of trends that are happening in your industry? So, it is a good indicator of what interests are, similar interests, things like that.
Absolutely. If you are targeting, companies within the software as a service, the cloud industry, they should be, listed here. So those are your targets. Those might be even your goals. It doesn't hurt.
Okay. So thank you very much. I think that was helpful. Aditya, hopefully you enjoyed reviewing your LinkedIn profile. Thank you, both of you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for reviewing Aditya's profile. Having said that, now I think we're at the end of our conversation. It was actually great to have you on the show. Just one thing, there were two comments which we said, one from Suraj and Suraj Boyar, and one from Kaushik Ganguly. Would you mind reviewing there in your own leisure time? So I will ask them to reach out to you directly and get the feedback on their LinkedIn profile. So which one? So there are two people. One is Kaushik Ganguly, and the other one is Suraj Boyar. So Melanie, do you want to pick up Suraj?
Yeah, I'll take Suraj.
Okay.
Yep.
And Ilya, you pick up Kaushik. So
yeah, absolutely. They can send us a connection request.
Yep.
Commenting about the show, of
Yeah.
course. Don't send it empty, because I will not accept. No, sorry.
Okay.
I will help.
So guys, Suraj, please reach out to Melanie and she will do an audit on your LinkedIn profile. And Kaushik, please reach out to Ilya and she will do an audit to your LinkedIn profile, as promised by both of them. So it was great. Some insights that I've heard today are just out of the world, and I'm so thankful to both of you. And I totally understand it's now past midnight for both of you, and
Yes.
you've taken the effort to actually speak to the audience here around Asia and understand. And to be honest, thanks to the audience, there was like a huge audience watching this. So I'm really thankful to both of you. And you've taken time out, and it was a pleasure having you on the show.
Well, thank you for having us.
Before you both go, one comment, one phrase. I ask everyone on my show, one phrase you want the audience to leave with, possibly in less than one sentence, maximum, not a paragraph, a sentence you want the audience to leave with before you go.
I would just say, don't be afraid to put yourself out there on LinkedIn.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The worst that can happen is that people don't react, and that is feedback. Don't take it personally. When we are used to the likes, the vanity metrics, take it as a test. Take it as okay, it's not working. What do I have to change? But we are gonna keep going. Be persistent and consistent, and that is what will set you for success on LinkedIn.
Perfect. Thank you very much, both of you. It was a pleasure having you both on the show.
Thanks, Shalinda. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
And I look forward to having you once again in a few weeks' time.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you very much. It was, again, pleasure having you, both of you. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Thanks. Speak to you
Take
soon.
care,
Bye.
guys.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Have a good sleep, Melanie, and
Yes.
have a great week. The rest of your day for those who are watching.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
So guys, thank you very much for watching. That was Ilya all the way from Canada and Melanie all the way from US, Washington, DC, who shared their expertise on LinkedIn and how to get your dream job using LinkedIn. And I think they had some very pertinent points that they made. And I think you should definitely look at this video again. And to the people who've watched it once and the people who've not watched it, please share this video with as many people as possible, because they did a live audit of Aditya's LinkedIn profile, which is fabulous. Not many people do that, and they've done that. So thank you very much, Ilya and Melanie, and thank you to my audience. Thank you for watching this. If you like this video, it'll be great, so more and more people can watch it. If you're watching this on a replay, please share this video with as many people as possible, so more and more people can learn from it. If you're watching this on LinkedIn, please follow me and share this video with as many people as possible. If you're watching it on Twitter, please retweet this video, and also like it and comment in the comment section. If you're watching this on YouTube, please press the subscribe button and the bell icon, and also share this video with as many people as possible. There is a lot of great content in this video. I really loved it. And if you're watching this on Facebook, please share with other groups, other Facebook groups where people can learn from this. Everyone would learn from this video because it has got some great content to how to find your dream job using LinkedIn. So thank you very much for watching. I will now sign off and come back to see you again soon. Bye now and take care. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure having you all watching this show. Thank you and bye now.